Welcome back to Same But Different, the show nobody asked for, where we talk about movies, TV, entertainment, whatever we want. I am Brody. Today, I'm all you get. There is no Derek, so if you're a fan of that guy and you're like, this Brody guy's the worst part of the show, you're not going to like this episode. But you should give me a chance, because this is really awkward to do this alone. So, I do want to say really quickly that if you have been enjoying the videos we put out, if you enjoyed this video, if you're excited to see what we think about this or that, then please like, please subscribe, please share. Anything like that goes such a long way for us. And I know it's like, nobody wants to watch a person ask for subscriptions like this, but I have to do it because for me, I'll watch a YouTube video and months will go by and I'm like, oh shoot, that was really funny. I wonder what they're up to. They should have told me to subscribe. How dare they not tell me to subscribe? So this is me telling you to subscribe. I just did a spit take. So that's how you know it's serious. With that out of the way, let's get to the review of 1998's Deep Impact. I had condemned this movie to be shit before ever even seeing a tiny piece of it. I just, based on what I could see online, it was boring, it was political, it was drivel, and I wanted nothing to do with it. But that's the point of this show, is to watch movies you never otherwise would have seen. You know, I've never, ever been so happy to stand corrected when it comes to my opinion about a movie, because this movie rocked. This movie was awesome. I'm actually quite baffled at how this movie has such a low rating. It's only got a 6.2 on IMDb, and I know Same But Different reviews, a 6 is a decent review, because we actually go from 0. IMDb kind of, a 3 is like a 0, you know? So, a 6.2 is like a 4 on a Same But Different rating, and that's weird to me. This movie was pretty darn good. I think objectively, but we'll also hear from Derek afterwards. I got him to send in a little video even though he's on vacation. We want to hear what he has to think too. This is our show. So maybe he hated it. I don't know. I haven't watched his review yet. I figured we'll just watch it together. So this came out the same year as Armageddon came out, which is crazy when movies do that. 8 years later, The Illusionist and The Prestige both came out the same year, and it was like, which one do you like more? And I'm like, why can't I like both? Except also The Prestige is better, you know? And this is similar to that, where, you know, I like this. I like Armageddon. This is a better movie. Armageddon is fun. It is a popcorn flick. It was made so we got to watch Bruce Willis kicking some ass, and it delivered. It delivered on that. It really did. Deep Impact actually cares, which is such a mean thing to say. Deep Impact actually cares about the story it's telling and the characters we're learning about. There was work put into this instead of just a action apocalyptic Big Bang thriller or whatever you want to call it, you know? Why am I out of breath? In that field of Deep Impact actually caring, the character work in this movie is absolutely excellent. Blew my mind how much I was caring about these people that we were getting introduced to, and that took me on such a roller coaster at the end. Holy moly. Everything we watched, all the tiny little moments of getting to know these characters, all came full circle. The script brought it all back for you. And it was cool because it showed us everyday people having to struggle with what's going on, having to cope with their own inevitable mortality, which I guess that's inevitable and immediate mortality, let's say, because we all have to cope with mortality. So the acting in this movie was just so good. It was so much better than it needed to be. I mean, we've all seen disaster movies, Roland Emmerich movies. You know, 2012 is a prime example of a fun movie. It's a fun movie, but it's a disaster movie that is made to be a disaster movie. This is a disaster movie that has a point to it, that puts yourself in these characters' shoes. It's just so interesting. Tia Leoni absolutely killed it. In my opinion, she was the star of this movie. And aside from her I'm Tia Leoni, and this is the news at 11, and everybody needs to listen, and this is me. It's a little bit off-putting, and maybe I'm being very, very mean. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Robert Duvall and the crew of astronauts were all incredible. And aside from the climax, and we'll get to that, it was the shining point of the movie was the astronaut's journey, in my opinion. And it always is, and that's why sci-fi films work so well when they're grounded sci-fi. When this could happen, air quotes, when we're not doing aliens and warp speed and laser beams and beamy me up, Steven. I just love that genre of sci-fi, and yeah, it was so fun to follow these astronauts. It was so interesting to watch them have to bond and grow and figure out these problems. And then there was that whole like mission to Mars, the comet exploding scene. It was it was awesome, man. They were running from like exploding comet geysers, and Jon Favreau just gets blasted into space, and they're like, we gotta leave him. But geez Louise, Papa Cheese. There's also something in this movie that shines above everything else, and it is the charm of a 90s movie. I think I've said it before, and I think I would say it again. I think that the 90s, and maybe it's nostalgic, maybe it's when I was born, but I think that the 90s might be the best decade for movies. I know there's a lot to be argued there, and I'm not saying this with certainty. This isn't even a debate. We can have this another time, but there's just something so charming about them. The best example to me is every good 90s movie I can think of, they make their own theme. And it's just a tiny little piano, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And every time it chimes in, you're like, I'm watching this movie, and it just brings you, I don't know what it is about it. It's just something so interesting that movies don't do anymore. And I love it. And then super quickly, I want to just say that the special effects for a movie that's 25 years old were amazing. The wave at the end, there were times where it didn't look fantastic, but that's a big project, come on. But the comet and the astronauts and the rockets and everything, it all looked so good. Now, two things I didn't like. For all the good, there's usually bad, and if there's not bad, then it's a 10 out of 10, and spoiler alert, I didn't give this movie a 10 out of 10. First thing being Morgan Freeman. Ooh, never thought I'd say that. It kind of hurts to say. Morgan Freeman did a fine job, but his portrayal of the president, or maybe just the way the president was written in this movie, was one-dimensional, cliche, boring. Honestly, it could have been dropped. Didn't need to be in this movie at all. And that would have saved it 20 minutes, made it more compact. Didn't need it. And the only other major flaw I personally had was that the movie had a difficult time finding its pacing. It found it eventually, and it worked really well, but 35 minutes into the movie, they were already launching to this comet. And then 45 minutes into this movie, they had already failed. There's still an hour and 15 minutes left. And that's fine, but the issue with that was that gave the first 45 minutes of the movie, made it feel like Elijah Wood and Tia Leoni's stories didn't matter. It rendered their storylines moot while we were following the astronauts, and then it cut back to them on Earth, and you're like, this doesn't matter, why do I care? It wasn't until after their mission failed that the movie became a movie about watching these people struggle and cope on Earth. Does that make sense? So it worked in the long run. It really did. The pacing, they found the pacing and it worked. But that first 40 minutes or whatever, I was a little bit torn in both directions about who I'm supposed to root for, what I'm supposed to care about. Blah. And then, yes, the climax of this movie with the wave rolling over all of America with Elijah Wood speeding through traffic on a dirt bike for puppy love, trying to save his new wife because he got married at like 15 just to save her life and her family, with that music swelling and them riding up a mountain together while the comet's crashing down onto Earth. It was awesome. I would have loved this movie growing up. The amount of like these kinds of movies, you know, Day After Tomorrow as well, like these kinds of movies. I know that one's a little later, but I loved them, and I missed out on this one. I'm sad. Let's see what Derek thought. Over to you, Derek. Oh, shit.
Well, hello everyone. It's Derek coming at you from Jamaica. Look at that water. Woo! So, Brody tells me I should be reviewing a movie and sending it to you guys because work is always there. Same but different, never sleeps. That's what I've been told. So I'm busting out the phone here on this beautiful beach, and I'm gonna give you my few thoughts on Deep Impact. All right, so what do we have to say about Deep Impact? Deep Impact, something I kind of remember from when I was a kid. I remember being a lot more disastrous, I'll tell you that much. Being an adult and watching it now, I much more appreciated the character development and the conversations that happened between them. I will say that the Elijah Wood storyline with his wife could have been taken out of the movie, wouldn't have made a difference at all. I wish they would have spent a little more time with the astronauts who went up to save the planet. Get to develop them a little bit more because that was the most emotional part of the movie for me, and developing them a little bit more would have hit harder, although I still did tear up a little when they had to say goodbye to their families. I think a little more time with Leoni as a human being rather than just a reporter, just reporting on things, I think that would have been cool too. So as much as there was a lot of character development in the movie, more than the disastrousness of it all, still could use a little bit more. And yeah, the Elijah Wood storyline was kind of pointless. It could have been anybody who discovered that asteroid. Anybody at all. It didn't have to be a kid. It was cool it was a kid, just didn't have to be, and then following his storyline was kind of weird. Oh, I specifically brought, this is a Drive Shaft shirt that Brody got me. For those Lost fans out there, you know what I'm talking about. I'm on an island, I had to bring it. The thing I find about disaster films is that no matter how old they are, the CGI seems to be pretty amazing. Better than monsters or anything you see as CGI. So disaster films always get it right, I think. And the disaster in this was pretty cool. Everyone did a fine job. I mean, you got heavy hitters in there. Morgan Freeman, Leoni, Elijah Wood, a bunch of others. Not gonna dock any marks there. Yeah, after that I watched 2012 and I don't know, I feel like this might be a better movie. 2012 was ridiculous and more entertaining, but this one was a better movie. Honestly, I'd give it a solid 7. Solid 7 out of 10. This is something I would watch on the Superstation whenever, if ever it comes out, if ever I get cable again. But, you know, after being here for a while, I never want to watch TV again, to be honest. But I'm going to. I'm going to watch TV and movies for you guys. Brody, I love you. Have fun editing this, and we'll see you soon. Same but different from Jamaica. Bye.
It is so funny to me how often we make the title of our show so evident. He just said all of the same stuff as me pretty much, but just a little different. Just a little different, but he hit the same points. It's weird. We didn't talk about this prior at all. Interesting to hear. I agree with a lot of what he said. I mean, I loved the Elijah Wood stuff. Because I cared about the story, I didn't mind that it was pointless, per se. The Morgan Freeman side of stuff I didn't care about, so it was pointless, and I was happy to skedaddle. I don't know what this is. I've never seen anybody do that. Oh, boy. But yeah, I do agree that a little bit more into Leoni as a person would have been nice, because up here, that moment. But like Derek said, at the end, the astronauts having to say goodbye to their families was, yeah, my heart. Ouch. So, all that being said, I also gave it a 7, but I think that I liked it a little bit more than Derek based on that review. I'm not entirely sure. So, I'm going to up mine to a 7.5. I can't give it an 8 because at the end of the day, it is just a disaster movie. I really, really enjoyed it, and I can see myself watching it again, for sure. All right. With the review out of the way, the next thing we have to do is the choices in the Hat of Destiny. And you'll see that the hat is different this week. We do not have my top hat as I am not home. Scoopity boopity boppity. And we're going to pick one. And the movie we are going to watch is called A Boy and his dog. We did a lot of research before, finding some apocalypse movies we maybe never have heard of, and this is certainly one of them. So this is a movie from 1975. It is a dark comedy about a future in 2024 that is post-apocalyptic, and the movie is about a boy and his dog, and that is all I really know about it. So we're watching an older one. I mean, it's not like the first Invasion of the Body Snatchers was also the 70s. So we're doing some old movies, and I love it, and I'm here for it, and I'm excited to see this one as well. Now, before we wrap stuff up, I wanted to just go over some quick little movie news, some stuff that may have hit the headlines this week that you might want to talk about, that I want to talk about. First up, Evil Dead Rise is officially out. And it is continuing to get incredible reviews. Evil Dead is up there with Scream as one of my favorite horror franchises. I'm also going to give a special shout out to Final Destination, but I know people don't love that one as much as I do. But Evil Dead's amazing. I'm so excited for this one. We will definitely be watching this one soon. Whether we do a quick review of it as a separate video or just talk about it on our next episode, I don't know. I can't see the future. National Treasure, the new Disney series that nobody watched, was officially canceled after one season. Does that surprise you? It doesn't surprise me. It hurts my heart though a little bit because I love National Treasure 1 and 2, and I was very excited at the prospect of a new series, specifically hoping it would light the fire that would then be National Treasure 3. I very much doubt that's going to happen now, and Diane Kruger has also said it's not going to happen, so stop thinking so much about it, Brody. I know, she used my name, it was weird. Rust, the movie where Alec Baldwin accidentally shot and killed a cinematographer, has officially resumed filming after the manslaughter charges were dropped against Alec Baldwin. It's a bold move. I think it might be a little soon. I'm actually kind of surprised that they're resuming at all. I don't know if Baldwin is attached to, come back, or if he was fired, or what's gonna go on with him. I really don't. The producers are saying safety is their number one concern. There's nothing to worry about, being that live ammunition is, and always was, prohibited on set. I don't know where anyone's finding solace in that, because look what happened. And lastly, Scarlett Johansson has officially declared she is done with the MCU. Quote, "I'm done. Chapter is over. I kind of did it. I kind of did all I had to do." That's it. That's what she said regarding her decision. I can't see this news upsetting anybody because she's dead. Her character is dead. Of course she's done. Keep your characters dead, Marvel. What will upset people is that Gwyneth Paltrow then came out and said, I might return, and nobody really wants that. So this has been Same But Different. Thank you so much for hanging out on our first solo episode. I have no idea how this is going to go. I'm going to go try to edit it now. I don't know anything about anything. Derek's the one who handles all this stuff. So yeah, that'll be interesting. But until next time, take it easy, everybody. Please watch A Boy and His Dog. Like, subscribe, comment, all the goodies. Bye-bye.
Same but different from Jamaica. Bye.